The RPG Maker General Podcast, or the rpgmgp. Near and far, adventure is everywhere. Hello everyone, and welcome to the RPG Maker General Podcast, or the rpgmgp, your one-stop shop for everything RPG Maker. This is Cody, aka Marpix, and with me today are Mono.
Greetings and salutations.
Blue Sky Robyn.
I'm not ready.
And for the first and possibly last time, Deldris.
Probably last.
That's what a new job will do to you. Deldris is a friend of mine. He knows more about RPGs than I do, and unfortunately Red Mage is not here, so we can't have the epic back and forth about Fire Emblem 8 I was anticipating. But perhaps another day.
Or not, since it's probably the last. He had his chance and he wasn't here, so I think I just win by default.
Yeah. So, in the news, Yanfly has a couple new things. The first one is, we have yet another Yanfly comic. This time it's Let's Make a Dungeon! He breaks down the essentials for designing a dungeon, and once again, the premise is keep it simple, don't overstep your bounds. Once you know how to do something, then you can know how to do it better. And he values the 3 M's, motive, monsters, and map. So, why the hell are you in this dungeon? What are you fighting? And what's it look like?
Yeah, he pointed out like some basics so that your maps make sense in a dungeon. How you're supposed to scale it from start to finish and up to the boss or whatever, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he talked about making like enemy types, having like 7 enemy types or something for your dungeon, and then having an 8th, which is technically like the boss. So he laid out a pretty neat idea of like how to make each area that you go into, like the deeper parts of the dungeon, more challenging, and also like mix up your enemies so it's not just here's like 2 enemies that you face and then a boss. And
yeah, I can see the scaling up too, because like if you're in the first part of the dungeon you face goblins and weasels, then the second part you face weasels and mages, and then you face a boss. And if you can't even get through the first part, you're like, well, if I can't handle these weasels, then I certainly can't handle the mages, and then you go back out and you grind a little bit more.
And also he talked about making the boss. I mean, I think this is kind of a common thing in a lot of RPGs anyways, but the boss is kind of like encompasses all of the enemies that you were fighting earlier, or it's like the leader, like slimes for an example. Like if there's different types of slimes, the boss slime has like all of the best of the other slimes because he's like the king slime or whatever.
So you use the dungeon to teach the player how to properly fight the boss.
Correct.
Which is how it should be, man. Because, like, I don't want to go through 100 floors of dungeons to get to the last boss, and then the last boss is just heal, buff, attack, heal, buff, attack. You know what I mean?
Did you just steal my story from the 1,000-Year Door, Robyn?
Dude, you went on about it for, like, an hour.
I also feel that way about some of the Final Fantasies, that it seems like the enemies don't really properly prepare you for the bosses.
Well, like, yeah, what Yanfly mentioned is like a good baseline, but sometimes there's exceptions. And, you know, sometimes you need to have that unique recurring boss, like maybe he's a major bad guy or something, right? And then he can't be just the boss of the one area.
Yeah, I know that Final Fantasy VI dealt with that a lot because most of the bosses you were fighting were humans or, you know, somehow related to the story. So they were usually not related to the monsters you were fighting inside wherever you were.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this whole comic, it's like building on the rest of his comics. Because I think he states in like the first 1 or 2 that it's supposed to be for a generic basic JRPG, where it's episodic, where it's like Town 1, Dungeon 1, Town 2, Dungeon 2. If in that structure, if there's an overarching villain or something that is outside of that reoccurs, I guess that's up to the player.
Or the dev.
No. Yes.
The dev has no say in how their game is made. None.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, Yanfly also has a new engine plugin, that one being the turn order display. So instead of trying to memorize the agility stats of all your characters and every monster you fight, you just have a little display up top that says, hey, your healer's going to go last, so a character might die. Have fun with that.
Yeah, I would have really appreciated this. But it also makes me sad because, like, when I first saw it, I thought, oh man, he's gonna back to CTB, and he's not actually going back because it's hard.
Yeah, the MV still has a long way to go to replicate the battle systems that we managed to get into the previous versions.
Yeah. But on the bright side, actually knowing your turn order is really good. Because, like, if you guys play Pokemon, I'm sure no one does. None of us do, right? Right? Yeah, fuck it.
I don't think we've ever talked about Pokemon on the podcast.
Yeah, we never did. We should do that one day. But anyway, like, yeah.
But not today.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, the speed stat is apparently the god stat in Pokemon, I guess. So if you go first, it's always a big deal. And yeah, knowing who's going first and who's going last, that's I don't know, quality of life, I guess.
Yeah, it reminds me of like tactics, because whenever I was young and dumb, which isn't now, I would just like, oh, I'm just gonna move and attack, and I guess I played it more realistically, where I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen. But then when I figured out you could press triangle and like figure out the attack order, I was like, holy shit, it made it much more strategic. And honestly, it made it more fun to play because I could actually figure out what strategy to use and like how I should effectively use my characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that
guy, he's the slowest. Fucking gang up on that asshole.
I think that in a game like Tactics, that a turn order is not necessarily required, but I think it's really more useful than, say, a more turn-based style like Final Fantasy VI, just because, you know, you have delays on spells and, you know, positioning and other stuff like that that you need to really account for. And if you didn't know the turn order, then you're going to move your healer over here and try and cast heal, and whoops, heal the enemy team, and now I'm dead.
I think, especially with MV and how it's purely turn-based, the turn order is moderately useful, but it gives you the same information every round, because it's based off the old-school Dragon Quest, everyone acts once and it's determined by your agility. So once you know it at the start of the battle, it's rather static, because agility almost never changes, because casting an agility-altering spell is a huge waste of time. But whereas with FF6, which uses ATB, and then Final Fantasy Tactics, which uses a variation of Charge Turn Battle, CTB, it's very useful because everyone's speed stat determines not only when their turn comes up, but how many turns they get, because there's not a set round of combat, per se.
Okay. Here's where I'm gonna fight you, Cody, because, like, No, because, like, it's actually kind of useful sometimes, because maybe you have a game where all your moves have, like, different kinds of priority, like your strong move makes you slower, or your weaker move makes you faster, or whatever. That might be a thing in your game, and that kind of, like, knowing if you're going first or last or whatever, that might help a lot for those kind of games. I mean, like, yeah, not everyone's gonna have a system like that, but it's usable.
Alright, so you're saying that we have to invent a priority system to BS our way into justifying the use of...
No, you don't have to invent it. It's already in the thing. You just have to get the skills all lined up and whatever.
And then how do you put defend in there? Just kidding.
Put defend as high priority. Yeah, whatever Cody said the last podcast, I guess.
Last time on RPGMGP.
Go listen to it for yourself.
Auto attack and auto defend.
You know, what happened to the days of, like, there was an episode of South Park where there was, like, 4 cliffhanger-y questions. It's like, you know, who dies, who throws up their dinner, like, and these questions will be answered right now. Oh,
it's just like montages through everything.
Yeah, it's like, who dies in the next episode of South Park? And I forgot what the first 2 answers were, but I remember that the person who died was Miss Chokesondick. You can only guess why.
One of them was like Cartman's mom or something. Or who's Cartman's father or something?
Oh,
I don't remember that.
That was a different arc. That was where Cartman's mom is trans, so is actually the father.
Wait, wasn't there an arc before where he was like half brothers with this redheaded kid, and his dad was like somebody from a football team or something?
No. That was the thing, is, like, they were trying to find Cartman's dad, because Cartman lives with his mom. And then you found out, like, the big conclusion of the episode is, Cartman's mom is actually his dad. So now he doesn't know who his mom is.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah. But that's enough about RPGs. Let's talk about RPGs.
I take it back. You're awful at fake accents.
Hey everyone, it's Chappelle Windsor here. And you know what? Windsor himself says I do a pretty good Windsor. But that's been like forever. Anyway, Robyn, I'd like you to take a couple minutes to talk about the rpgmg collaboration game, because somehow, through the graces of the good Lord above, we got it restarted, and you made the prologue. And Leo Hart, by the time this airs, will have the official Chapter 1 released.
Oh, did that happen? Okay, cool.
You're not excited.
Okay, fine. Sorry.
I'm sold.
Yeah. The old collaboration project, no one knows what's happening with it. Like, it's still going on, I hope, but like no one's interested so far. So yeah, the VX Ace collaboration's not going anywhere, I guess. But the MV collaboration, it just started like a week or two ago or something. Yeah. Oh, it's just me? Okay, fine.
You aren't done explaining it, Robyn.
Right. Fine, okay. So yeah, I made the prologue, and a kind dev from the general, Leo Hart, decided to do Chapter 1, and so far with what he's shown, it's looking pretty good, like better than what I did, honestly. Like, what a show-off. I'm looking forward to it, like, moving forward, and I hope it finishes. Like, okay, because here's the thing. I've been to, like, 3 different collabs. Like, this is the 3rd one. And the first one didn't go anywhere. The second one almost finished, but yeah.
Somebody didn't want to make the finale.
I think everyone didn't want to make the finale. And then this one's like, who knows? Who knows? We're still in the early stages. We've all decided it will definitely end by Chapter 10.
I'm just super glad, because, like, you talked about the ending before. It seems like every amateur game dev, we all have started a lot of anime, we've all started a lot of video games. Everyone is very used to the world building, you know, how to set something up. But no one, especially the amateur devs and barely anybody in RPGMG, they aren't comfortable or they don't know how to end something. And I ran into this with Defeat the Darkness as well, because it's like I have these characters, I have this story, you know, how do I wrap it up in a way that's satisfying? And as you consume more media and you find how other people successfully end their stories, you can either take inspiration from or shamelessly steal those ideas and make them your own.
I really like the Soprano type ending, where it's just something's going on, seems like the end, black.
I like when my ending feels like an ending.
Wait.
Yeah.
What, is the Sopranos like post-apocalypse or something? Because like...
Okay.
No, it's like...
No, don't tell him. Robyn, it's called The Sopranos. What do you think it's about?
Well, based on what Mono said, it's like everyone's hiding in a bunker and there's a meteor about to hit the Earth or something.
Robyn, what's a soprano?
Isn't that like a musician?
Yes.
Is it like a bard?
Yeah, I mean, like I know what The Sopranos, the movie is, but like with the way Mono said it, it's like, what the fuck? Is this like a post-apocalypse thing?
It's Italian. Mono, go ahead.
Can we have a game where it's post-apocalypse mafia?
Well, let me give you the rundown from Wikipedia.
No.
Fine, it's fine.
I'm too lazy to pull up Wikipedia.
It's like a game where it's like Mad Max, but you play as all the crazy people driving along the road trying to hunt down Max.
So Mad Max.
And you know what the best part would be is if you fail and you start to level again. I live, I die, I live again! But Mono, go ahead. For the uninitiated, what is The Sopranos?
It's about a story, I think, of a family. It's like a mafia family. I guess they're Italian. Not being racist or stereotypical, just telling the facts as I perceive them.
With our brothers, Mario and Luigi.
And there you go, part of The Sopranos. They're the cousins thrice removed.
Mario Soprano and Luigi Soprano.
Their crimes and like just them getting on through life, and it's basically like a huge drama.
Mario and Luigi's talking to each other like, there's a lot of shit going down, and it fades to black.
I think that's almost kind of how it. I think it ends like in a restaurant where like one of the main characters is like he's eating and he's talking to someone, and then it just like black, and that's like the last episode.
Yep.
I don't know if there's like a closure with that, or if it just seems like it's a normal episode. Obviously, it's the last, but you expect some sort of tying things together and everything, but just black. It's like in any game, if you were about to like figure out what the ending was, and then it just black.
I don't know. Like, if you're saying it like that, like it kind of reminds me like if they're doing a normal thing and then it fades to black, it sort of tells me like, okay, they're going back to their normal routine. And then I guess being like a mafia thing is like their routine.
I still don't know what musical instrument it is.
Voice. Well, it's something high. Typically, a soprano is like a female singer, but you could have like a soprano ukulele, which is just a very highly pitched instrument.
Yeah, soprano is the note range, is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they all have kazoos. Oh god. I'm like assembling the weirdest game right now. Jeez, I'm sorry.
It's like all the guys from Mad Max driving down the road, and they're all like just playing kazoos.
Yeah, and then they're all chasing Mario and Luigi in their go-karts or whatever.
God.
They're trying to make it to the opera for the premiere of The Soprano.
This sounds almost GTA-like.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay.
Two brothers driving to a theater, and then a meteor hit.
Along with all your Disney favorites, Beauty and the Beast, Sleeping Beauty, The Little Mermaid, Darth Vader, Deadpool.
All chasing after Mario and Luigi.
Yes.
In Mad Max gear.
In an unforgettable night.
I feel like we're using the Kingdom Hearts method of determining the plot. We're just throwing a bunch of ideas into a hat and just pulling out a few and going like, all right, throw them all in there.
That's great, though.
Yeah.
I mean, Kingdom Hearts not especially for storytelling, but the rest is great.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I love Kingdom Hearts, but like, it's a little crazy.
Yeah, it gets crazy. Like, I got lost by the end of the first game, like, at whoever Ansem is.
Well, the first game was supposed to be the game, and then Disney's like, go ahead and make more, and then someone decided to just pull original characters out of their ass and draw words out of a hat and go, okay, this will work. Yeah, everyone has an X in their name. Isn't that cool? I mean, no, the X's are put in their name because their actual names are without the X and scrambled, and I think you could teach a college course on the lore of Kingdom Hearts, and there'd be one guy who passes, and he will have bullshitted the whole thing, which would be entirely the point. It's all bullshit.
I can't wait for Disney World to have, like, a section where it's just the organization, like statues of the organization just standing there, and so you can take cool pictures. Fucking, because like they're owned by Disney, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you want to take a picture with Roxas or whatever? Yeah, go here on the map. Get your heart ripped out or whatever. Have fun.
Now, was that what ruined Kingdom Hearts, or was using decimals in the fucking titles what ruined Kingdom Hearts?
There are titles with decimals?
Yeah, it's like Kingdom Hearts like 1.5, Kingdom Hearts 2.8.
Oh, those are just what is it? Well, I know 1.5, that was America getting the final mix version of Kingdom Hearts, which was Japan exclusive until it was released. So it's just a remake of the first game.
Despicable.
2.8 is like the absolute final release of Kingdom Hearts 2. And
for real this time.
And then you forgot to mention 358 over 2 days, which, if my math is correct, is about 179 days.
Which the game is just 358 days, so I don't know what the over 2 is.
Well, because you have your two main characters. You have Roxas, you have Axel, and you have... there's a third one, isn't there?
And then everyone is Ansem.
And everyone is Sora.
Next, you're going to tell me there's going to be Final Fantasy 7.3.
You're an Ansem, and you're an Ansem, and you're an Ansem.
Kingdom Hearts, it's a door, and a moon, and the core of all the worlds, and it exists in all of us. All of these things at the same time.
It's also the light. And also the darkness.
Sora is the chosen one to wield the Keyblade, but so is everybody else, along with Iron Man, the Incredible Hulk, Cinderella.
That one's actually explained, though. Like, Sora's is special, and everybody else's are just, like, Keyblades.
So Sora has the OG Keyblade.
And everyone else is wielding a cheap knockoff. Is that what you're saying?
Everyone else has, like, the copy of the OG. Wait, why the fuck does he have dual-wielding Keyblades, then? What the fuck does that mean, then?
Well, Sora's isn't even the OG Keyblade. Like, that is the Keyblade, spelled X-blade. And so, like, okay, you know what? I could be the one to teach the seminar on Kingdom Hearts, all right? But Sora's so there's two Keyblades that are just like any other Keyblades, except they're more special, and that is like the one true Keyblade of light and the one true Keyblade of darkness. And Sora's is the one of light. So all the other Keyblades are just valid Keyblades. They're just not super special. It's not the one chosen Keyblade. It's like if Luke Skywalker's lightsaber was really special for some reason. All the other lightsabers are still lightsabers. His is just really special.
So Sora is wielding a magically imbued kind of Excalibur sort of weapon, and everyone else is wielding a really oddly shaped hunk of metal.
Yes.
Okay.
So what you're saying is, like, Luke Skywalker's, like, lightsaber is the one that has all the pheromones or whatever that's giving him force powers. Midichlorians, yeah, that.
It would be more like, let's say that to blow up the Death Star, you just had to shove a lightsaber in the port instead. Luke's would be the only one that would actually work. All the other ones would fit, they just wouldn't do anything. Luke's would blow up the Death Star. It's like the same thing. Sora's can open and close Kingdom Hearts. Well, it's one of the halves of Keyblades that can open and close Kingdom Hearts because you need the Dark one too. All the other Keyblades can, like, defeat the Heartless or whatever because they're Keyblades, but they can't do anything with Kingdom Hearts. So his is just like an upgraded version of a normal Keyblade.
Fuck this story, man.
Alright.
Like, I'm not even Red Mage and I'm getting mad.
Alright. Mono, unless you have something to add, let's get on to the main subject here.
Okay, well, it seemed like a pretty neat little game when I got my PS2 from my friend. And then I let a friend borrow Kingdom Hearts, and I never finished it. I just remember I was in the giant whale, and I was, like, slashing around his guts or whatever. And I was like, fuck, I don't want to use a guide because I feel like I can figure this out. And then I gave up, and then I let my friend borrow it, and that was that. So as far as I'm concerned, the ending is shitty.
You get stuck in a whale forever, the end.
Yeah.
No, he said it was shitty, so he got out eventually, but...
It was shitty indeed.
His partially digested corpse ended up on the other side of the whale. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get to the subject here. The subject, I was expecting a lot more people, and we had a couple more beforehand. I may upload that pre-show later, we'll see. I want to help our new people get accustomed to the format and just go around with some questions that wouldn't fill an entire topic, but would be interesting. But first off, I wanted to do what I called the Airing of Grievances, because I thought Brad would be here, and he has made a ton of comments on the past couple of podcasts, and take a drink every time you see one. Del's made a couple. Mono, was there anything that you've heard in previous podcasts that you wanted to talk about here today?
Oh, man, so much. So many hours. I've actually listened to all the podcasts, just so you know.
Wow.
Not fangirling. I'm just letting you know. God, I have to really go back in the memory banks, but... did we talk about Pokemon yet? I feel... No, I'm just
No, I don't think we have.
If you need a second, I can have Del go first.
Yeah.
All right.
Erica's story was not pointless. I don't want to get into the whole thing because Red Mage isn't here. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
Yeah, well, he's not here to defend himself, so go ahead.
Well, see, that's the thing. I just have to state my point, and I just win because there's no rebuttal.
No, I can pretend to be Red Mage for a second. Well, Deldris, I played Erica's story, and I traveled all across the continent and gathered all these people, and then I come back and my brother's like, oh, hey, it's already done. We good. We cool. Everything you did wasn't worth anything. Wasn't worth jack. Go back to the kitchen or whatever you girls do.
Yeah, but I mean, it's throughout that part of the story that you discover the actual big bad that is not, the perceived big bad at the time, and you still gather all those forces, and it's still worthwhile to go do it, and, you probably wouldn't have the forces to actually, overcome everything at the end of the game if she hadn't done that. So I will agree that at that exact moment, it might seem like, well, everything I did was kind of pointless, but they at least justify it later.
Okay, justifying it later, I see Red Mage's point, because, especially at the end of the game, you're at the end of the goddamn game, and they're like, psych. And then eventually go, well, never mind, not psych, we cool.
But see, Metal Gear is praised for doing stuff like that, where you see something that you think is totally pointless, and why do I have to do this? And then, 3/4 the way through the game, you're like, oh, that was important. I should have looked at Meryl's ass as she walked away. It's, they do the same thing. Everybody's like, oh, this is great.
That was important for other reasons.
Yes. There's a difference in audience, though, because with Metal Gear Solid, the expectation is the story's going to go weird routes, and there's going to be little things that you miss and details that you can look for. But in Fire Emblem, you're supposed to be the hero, guiding everyone to save the world. And if you don't feel important and you're not the hero, then what the frick are you doing there, buddy?
It's like you're a regular soldier like everybody else.
Yeah, and in FFT that works too, because Rams is the main character, and you can put yourself in, but you're going to be some random schlomo who dies on a ghost ship in an alternate dimension.
Spoiler alert.
So yeah, Del's point about the Fire Emblem is Erica's story isn't pointless because she actually finds out who the real big bad is, while Ephraim is fighting who he thinks is the big bad, but isn't the big bad.
Yeah, no, what I'm hearing is the game tells you that you barely contributed, and while you're fuming mad, you don't hear it go, but it's okay, you actually did kind of help, it's cool.
Yes.
Right.
That is the summary of Sacred Stones. You don't need to play it anymore.
Whew.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Amelia's best girl, though, from there.
That's the knight with the pink hair and
That's
all the
one that
comics.
gets huge.
Doesn't she have blonde hair?
Yeah, Amelia's the spear girl who becomes huge.
Yes.
Well, she doesn't get any bigger. She just puts on bigger armor.
Well, no, it's a comic.
Oh.
Yeah. What are you doing, Amelia? Getting huge. What? Huge!
I do like the idea of her just gorging herself to fit in the armor.
Man, I like to imagine in game the armor looks huge, but in actuality the armor's just really small, but super bulky. So it's correct for her size, but it's really short.
Or she's wearing 15 layers of padding.
Put on a fat suit before you can put on the armor.
Yeah, sorry girl, this armor only comes in one size.
Are you stuffing your armor?
No.
Now, by grievances, do you mean things that actually annoy me, or just things I was interested in talking about?
Either one. If you want to argue with us, or if you want to bring something up, either way, I'm cool. It's going to be great entertainment.
Well.
Oh, no.
Get your pencils.
There's...
Get your pencils ready.
I sharpened my pen. Okay, well, this isn't... I don't know if this is game-related or mechanic-related, but I am very curious about a certain somebody who used to make videos that doesn't make videos anymore. They may remain nameless unless someone asks me to name their name, in which case I will. Anybody?
I think he's talking about you, Cody.
No.
Oh, thank Jesus.
What? He still makes videos.
Is he talking about himself?
No, well, yes, actually, but maybe it's the pent-up frustration. No. I don't know. I guess... Never mind. I don't think it's a thing. Seems kind of anticlimactic and almost like I'm leading you to ask me about it, which I'm not.
Deal prompted.
Look, Mono, I can edit this out. Just tell me who you're talking about.
No, fuck it. Don't edit it out.
This is going in. Mono says so.
It's going in. Exactly. All right. I'm just curious. What happened to Echo? That's all.
Oh.
I have some theories.
Echo's not here to defend herself.
Oh, I'm not attacking her. I'm not saying she's a bad
He's
person.
been here to begin with, so yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. I'm just wondering. I mean, I guess life gets in the way sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you want to hear my theory about what happened?
Okay.
Of course.
Okay.
Sharpen your tinfoil hats, everyone.
Twist them up. Okay.
Sharpen your tinfoil hats.
Fold it 1,000 times.
Okay, so for a long time, Echo was pretty consistent, a few little gaps here and there. Of course, plugged her never-ending game Gaia's Melody and had dev stuff and like Patreon stuff, and that was cool. And then one day, it was literally one day because that's when the video was uploaded. One day, she uploaded a video of some animation, right? It was like the opening animation, I guess, with the music that had the stuff. And this was 6 months ago, according to YouTube. She says in the video that it's like her work in progress, early animation, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think because it wasn't so good, it's possible that the ass blasting she got from it made her not want to continue uploading videos.
Okay. Quick RPGMGP disclaimer: we have never discussed Echo ever in any context. I don't know where the hell this is coming. But the other thing is, for those who don't know, Echo is, I believe, a Canadian YouTuber. She covered RPG Maker extensively.
Yeah, she actually has some really good videos.
Yeah.
And like every other person who covers RPG Maker, they have their own game that they're working on, and I assume that the animation that she had was for this game?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, well, okay, it's kind of, if I remember correctly, she made a game in, I think it was XP, which is Gaia's Melody. And then she made one after that, or she's making a remake of that game. I think she's porting it to MV when updating all like the graphics and all this stuff.
Mm.
So this was, I'm assuming, a video for that game. Yeah, it's the opening for that game. But in addition to this game, she also made like tips and tricks and like talked about plugins and how to do stuff and like maps and how to make your game. You could say she's inspirational.
Okay.
She's actually pretty big. She's got like 18,000 subscribers. That's pretty big for RPG Maker.
Only bigger than Yanfly, so you know.
Is that, well, his videos are like 14 minutes long. I already got it. Maybe that's the thing I should have aired my grievances on, but I've expended my turn, so I'm okay with that. But I'm very curious. I think we all are who know who she is.
Alright, so what I'm hearing is, Echo, Mono misses you. He wants you to be his waifu, and could you please come back to YouTube?
I don't know about that. I have a love-hate relationship with her videos.
It's the voice, isn't it?
That's the one. She has like that anime voice, right?
Hey, gamers!
Jesus.
Oh.
I love your
Yeah.
videos. I want you to come back, but you sound awful.
Okay.
I want to come back, but please gargle this acid for a little while.
Get a manly voice. That'd be cool.
Remember, Cody?
everybody, how's it going?
Mono says this is all going in, so you better put all that in.
Jesus Christ. Alright, I'm banging the gavel there, we're moving on.
The Yanfly
And-
video
And
with, like,
comment if you think I'm wrong, and tell me why I'm wrong.
Oh.
Yeah, I guess that's it for me. I feel better now. This is very therapeutic.
Perfect. Alright,
Can we have like a Yanfly video with Echo voicing everything? That sounds like a great thing in progress, isn't it? Just a fountain of good ideas today.
Seriously. Let me ask a question now. Since we're all avid gamers, Deldris is currently a no dev, but hey, maybe one day I'll rope him into working on something with me. What game, RPG or not, has left the biggest impact on you guys personally? And I'll go first. I'll keep it short. The Final Fantasy Legends series, I keep banging that drum, mainly because when I discovered those games, it was a very rough time in my life. I was moving around a lot, and having a consistent world like FFL2 and FFL3 that I could bring with me and come back to anytime I wanted, that was really special to me. Also in that vein, Secret of Mana, with the sense of adventure and doing that kind of stuff. It wasn't necessarily the gameplay but it was the environments and the story and having somewhere where I felt like I belonged. I'm an adult now. I'm not nearly as clinically depressed. Nothing will ever make as huge of an impact on me as those games, but nothing needs to, I don't think, I'm gonna roll my handy little D6 now.
For the four of us.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And it came up Cody, which is not good.
All right, Cody, go again.
Yeah, it's lightning round all over again. All right, Deldris, go. What game has left the biggest impact on you?
I'm torn between two. One, I'm also going to throw out Secret of Mana, but for a different reason. Secret of Mana was the game that got me into gaming. It would, open my eyes to this whole magical world of, wow, magic and monsters and, great adventure, oh my. And it was the portal for me. It's what got me into gaming. And from there, it was all downhill, and my parents were never more disappointed in that I just wanted to play video games all the time. And it was a huge deal for me, because I didn't really have any sort of interests or anything other than that. I, maybe played soccer a little bit, but I was never really, passionate about something until I discovered video games. The other game I wanted to throw out was The World Ends With You. I was that whiny, emo 15-year-old. I didn't wear the dark clothes or anything, but I was like, what's the point? Life is stupid. People suck. Blah, blah, whatever. And playing through that game actually gave me some more perspective. And, I was like, hey, it sounds really cheesy to say that I learned this lesson from a video game, but it did help me think about breaking out of my shell and, kind of getting to know some more people. And it led to me making some friends that I still have to this day that I met when I was 14 or 15. So, yeah, those are probably the two games that I can think of that left the biggest impact on me.
Man, that's so cool, because that Secret of Mana, you played that at my house, dude.
Yeah, you were like, hey, come play this. And I was like, what's this? And you were like, video games. And my life was never the same.
So, Cody, Deldris is your fault.
Yes.
It's true.
Ever since we met, I'm like, yeah, he's a chip off the old block. Even though I was 10, I still called myself the old block.
You were twice my age at that time.
Well, yeah. Yeah, you were 5 and I was 10. We were next door neighbors. It's been a while.
Cody, right?
Do what now?
What was that?
Yeah, you're 16.
What?
We're confusing all the listeners by giving you a fake age.
Yes, I am 16 years old. I just played The World Ends With You a couple years ago, actually, and I still have those friends to this day.
No, you're 16, so you played it last year, and you made...
Yes, I played it last year. This is me breaking out of my shell. I'm here, guys.
Oh, God.
All right. Well, I rolled Carb, and he's not here anymore, so Mono, you go ahead.
I think that the game that really kind of got me into, because I'm 16 also, by the way, the game that really got me into, I would say more specifically RPGs, very young. I don't know if this is necessarily one game, but it's a series, but I'll specifically harp on one game. Super Mario RPG. Because at the time, I was playing Super Mario World, and I thought that was the coolest thing ever. It's you're running around, it's got this crazy music, and it's colorful, and you jump on these things' heads, and it's really cool. So then when I saw Super Mario RPG, and I didn't beat that at the time when I first played it. I thought that was so cool because it's a more free-range Mario, and you can go and you get to talk to people, but people are traveling with you. And I had played so many games where it was single player, you're controlling one character, and that was that. And I thought that was really cool. And also the graphics for the Super Nintendo at the time were really awesome. But the game that really got me was Paper Mario for the 64. Because it was just basically an enhanced version of well, okay, I won't go so far as to say that. You could say it was a build-up on Super Mario RPG. But it was completely novel in the sense that you were just this paper. You were flat, right? And you turn around and you see all these animations and you see that you have a Paper Mario. And that was just so wild to me at the time. But I guess being young and playing that, it really got me into the idea of not having a super serious story, kind of being playful, and not having the world is ending, God is trying to kill you, defeat this huge army. It was just like this simple little kind of fun story that had its challenges, but it wasn't really dark. And then that eventually got me into Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, which is really cool too. But I would say for me, Paper Mario. Paper Mario was the one.
Yeah, I like...
Or Deus Ex, which is a completely different, opposite spectrum type of thing. But I'm actually replaying Deus Ex right now.
And now that you've mentioned it, somebody will reinstall it.
Yeah, Game of the Year edition, man. That's awesome.
I was thinking about it.
So worth it. So worth it.
Deus Ex, the OG one?
Yeah, the first one.
Oh, okay. I've never played that one. I only played Human Revolution, so...
I like that one, too. It's still very free and open, but when you play the first one, it doesn't hold your hand as much. And sneaking is not as easy, but it's rewarding when you do it. I mean, this game is made in like 2000.
Yes.
So, I mean, of course, I mean the mechanics are very aged and dated, but in a way, they're really not. They're really like progressive and forward. Because at that time, I don't even think there was really a game that was as open mechanically as that one was. Like, there were open worlds where you can go, but it was just like you talk to people, you figure out information, you catalog that information in your journal or your quest book or whatever. Mm-hmm. You go, you fight enemies, and it's done. But Deus Ex, I mean, like in Human Revolution, you can go around, you sneak, you knock out people, you take stuff, like... You shoot things. There's so many ways to complete an objective, and the story sort of changes and adapts based on how you do those things.
So for the time, it was really advanced, right?
Yeah.
Arguably, it still is. And the cool thing about the original Deus Ex is, you know, with Human Revolution, there was a big to-do about how you could only kill the bosses. There was no alternate way to get around them, and then they eventually patched in some ways to non-lethally deal with the bosses. But in the original Deus Ex, if you put all of your points into playing the cello, you could still beat the game. Like, every time, no matter where you were in the game, there would be a way to bypass guards and unlock doors and complete the objective if all you knew how to do was play the cello.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do right now. I'm trying to do like a stealth as much as possible run. And so I'm just using like the baton and I just knock people out, just whack them in the back of the head. Of course, you make sacrifices for doing that. For one, you can't take people out long range, so you have to be up close. But it also really emphasizes being sneaky, close to the walls and the shadows. But you could just go guns a-blazing, just pistols or rifles or whatever. It's a lot harder that way, I think. But
yeah,
maybe that's my game. Fuck Paper Mario.
You already said it. You can't change it.
Yeah, that's true. I don't want to be a flake. That's true. But Deus Ex is up there too for a different reason. Different reasons.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I guess it's my turn to do the thing.
Well, let me roll real quick.
I say he's got to roll the dice.
I rolled mono again, sorry. No, I'm kidding.
Okay, so there's this game called Deus Ex.
Can't roll out. There we go. Okay.
All right. Is it my turn now?
It was Adam's turn, but now it's your turn.
Oh, okay, fine.
You want me to call Adam and get his opinion real quick, or did you want to go?
Nah, he'll probably just say Neo or something. Anyway, so yeah. When I was growing up, because like I had like a Nintendo for a little while, and then my parents were like, "Nah, you can't like get the new one." So I grew up a PlayStation kid, right? Sad childhood and whatever. So at the time, like most of the games I played were like, okay, here's the serious story, here's the rules of the game, or it was basically straight stuff. And I guess the thing, I guess the game that I encountered that kind of changed my perspective on that was Nippon HA game. And yeah, I know Cody hates that shit, but like, hear me out. Because like Nippon HA games, like the one I played was Makai Kingdom, right? The story was whack as fuck. Okay, here's the story. The story starts with, you are the badass overlord. And there are these guys who are like, no, we don't like the badass overlord. Well, fuck you, I'm the badass overlord, so I'm gonna wreck your shit. And then he finds the holy book that predicts the future or whatever. It's like, the badass overlord's a dick. And I'm like, oh, I don't like that. Fuck this book. So he tries to destroy it. It doesn't work out. So he lost his body. Now his soul is in the book. And I'm like, fuck, I gotta fix this shit. And like that kind of taught me like not every game is like super serious, right? Like that's my introduction to really stupid ass games. Cause like all the beginning moves are like really simple. And then you get to the stuff like, oh, I'm using a sword. Better just summon 100 swords to destroy this one enemy. Right? And then it's like the escalation is crazy. Like, at the tutorial, I did not expect to be controlling a guy that had 4,000 levels. Because up to that point, every game I played was like, oh, the max level's 99 and I could only reach like level 50. No, you start at level 4,000 in this tutorial.
There's no kill like overkill.
Yeah, and it's like, it's a bad habit, but like it also like was one of the games that got me into the mindset of grinding. Like for a while at least. Like I've grown out of that now, but like before then I didn't have super wacky games. Because like I didn't have Nintendo, you know?
Yeah. In my teenage years, the game that I got really addicted to was Final Fantasy Tactics, and that's kind of what led me into my fan fiction stint, because when I played Final Fantasy Legend, yeah, you could put yourself in the game and whatever, but in this one you had an even better sprite, and you could change class, and you could have your zodiac sign in there, and it was so cool, and the complex job system in FFT really made me think about game design in a real sense, and I probably still have somewhere notebooks full of just like, how could I integrate zodiacs and job systems and like all the different elements and stuff into a game that I'd want to make one day. The super edgy narrative didn't hurt either, because when you're 14 and some guy says, "Don't blame us, blame yourself or God." That's so cool!
Yeah, I do agree on that one. That one definitely came to me later in life at 16. There's just something about it where when you start really thinking about it enough, it makes you, like, you really want to see what's possible. Like, first you kind of play as like, oh, this is cool. I got to make a balanced team, because that's just what you're used to. You make your balanced team, and you have, like, your mage, and maybe, like, a cleric, and maybe this and that. But then you start playing, and you're like, I don't know, this kind of sucks. Like, what if I just had a monk army, and they just fucked everyone up with their fists? Just like punch, 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 punch. But each class had their own thing, and I think some of them were kind of, I wouldn't say overpowered, but definitely more useful than others. Like, if you had a monk compared to an archer, unless you gave the archer like a better secondary like ability or abilities.
I knew you were going to say archer. The second you said useless class, I was thinking archer.
The only useful thing about archer is concentration.
Yeah.
And maybe a charge. Maybe.
I think that Archer is great if you combine it with Knight's skills, because the range of the break abilities is your weapon range.
Ah.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
That's the thing.
On the other hand, you could just put that on Mustadio, which is just better, so, you know.
or a
But you only
chemist.
have one Mustadio.
Or a chemist.
I remember playing, and he died once, and I was like, I'm never playing again. I can't make it through the game without him. I was young and dumb at the time. But also, it's just like you lose someone who's like completely special, who looks nothing like anyone else, even if they're exactly the same as everyone else. It really fucks with you. I don't know. It's just really like...
Yeah. And that's why I'll never play Fire Emblem ever again.
The struggle is real. Also, I also want to put in one more. I just want to give a shout out to the Sonic team for
Round 2.
The longest running disappointment of my life, in that I played Sonic Adventure 2, and I was like, Chao, these are the greatest things to ever exist in the history of gaming Earth, and they won't make a fucking dedicated Chao racing game because they just don't like money. So it's running disappointment of my entire life, and I just want to thank them for that.
Wait, you like the Chao thing?
Are you kidding me? That was the only reason I played the fucking game.
Yeah,
You didn't play Sonic Adventure 2 for Big the Cat?
He wasn't in the second one.
Oh, really? Oh, fuck. I messed up this stupid joke I made. Fuck.
No, he is. Big the Cat is in. He's in every single level, but it's a blink and you'll miss it kind of thing.
What is he, Slender Man? Fat Cat?
Whatever, his levels were the worst in the first one anyway.
Yeah. I like watching GDQ because they did a Sonic Adventure run, and the donation incentive was, which story would they play, and Big the Cat won. And the guy's like, okay, we're going to do this in, 10 minutes. Bang, 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 bang. And, the final boss, okay, Chaos, right? He's made out of liquid or whatever.
I know that fight.
Froggy, I guess, ends up in Chaos and use your fishing pole to pull Froggy out, and that just hurts Chaos from the inside so much that he dies.
I think that's because Froggy ate a Chaos Emerald.
Yeah.
So that's why he absorbed him. So when you pull him out, it's like the equivalent of ripping a Chaos Emerald out of Chaos.
Ah.
Yeah.
I think. Don't quote me. It's been a long time since I played that game.
Well, that makes more sense than massive internal damage to Slime Boy.
Yeah, so Big the Cat has enough raw power to just rip out Chaos Emeralds from that are supposed to eat them.
He doesn't actually pull out Froggy. He rips out Chaos's soul, and Froggy just happens to get caught on it on the way out.
That's an evil frog.
Man, I can't wait for that Dark Souls fishing game.
Dark Souls 4, the fishing edition.
That's an interesting point, though, because the Chao Garden, you and I both played it. We had other friends that enjoyed it, too. Do you think Pokemon and, the early 2000s with all the ripoffs, like Magination and Robopon and Monster Rancher, do you think we officially killed the monster-raising genre by having too many in the early 2000s?
I think it's been long enough that somebody could bring it back. I think it could really be a thing. I think it's really just kind of one of those things that have fallen off and are going to come back as a trend. Like how horror games kind of fell off for a while, but now everyone and their mom is releasing a horror game. So I think once the horror genre dies off, maybe we'll get the monster raising to come back into style.
I'm still waiting for a new Monster Rancher.
You hear that, game developers? We're waiting.
One guaranteed sale. Get on it.
And this time put Monol in, because fuck you guys for taking him out of the other games. Jeez.
Monol, is that the yellow thing with the eye?
No, Monol is basically the huge wall. It's just really satisfying to see this just plain old regular black wall. Just, I'm gonna attack you by just flattening you straight out. How do I attack? I just land on you. That's it. Fuck you. Monol's the best.
Sounds like a very useful Robopon. I must be the only person in the world who remembers Robopon. I also remember emulating it, because there's a mini-game where you have them on a glider, and the more you mash A, the further they glide. So you hold down, you map your keyboard so that enter is A, and then you set it to auto-fire on the emulator, and then you put a weight on the enter key. And so, overnight, you gain a shit ton of money because you just keep talking to the person to repeat the minigame where you mash A.
So you cheated.
No! I was being innovative! Because I'm a Republican, and we don't call that exploitation, we call that innovation.
Oh, shots fired.
Whoa, you thought the thing I said about Echo was whatever. I wasn't listening.
Should we move on to the next thing? I mean, we already started talking about fishing, so...
Yeah, no, we've naturally segued into something you'd like to see more of. Did you see that, Robyn? It was very smooth and very cool. Until you
just ruined the whole flow of it.
Yes, I did, because now I want to talk about fishing in video games.
Do it!
Speaking of fishing in video games, have any of you guys played Breath of the Wild yet?
No.
Well, did you guys play Twilight Princess? Or any of the Zelda games? You get it, with that a Zelda game with fishing.
You have to get the Hylian Loach.
I played Ocarina of Time's fishing.
So, you get it, right? You throw out your fishing pole, you get it's like fucking fishing. Well, in Breath of the Wild, they were like, you know what, fuck that. Now you just swim in the water and you pull it out with your bare hands like a badass. You just go over the fish and pick it up like any other item, just in the fucking water.
That's lame. I'm putting that on the lame list.
Del, I like that typo you said. You throw your fishing pole into the water. Are you like fucking Poseidon or something? Just throw the pole straight at the fish.
This is my
Breath of the Wild. Just fuck this, threw it in the water and jumped in himself.
This is my fishing pole. Some people call it a spear.
Oh, that's fucking great.
Hmm.
I actually wanted to talk about Nier Automata, but talking about that at all is spoilers. So I'll just talk about the fishing from there. It's great because it looks really stupid. Because, like, the guys who made Nier Automata are Square-Enix and Platinum Games. And as you know, they have their like stylish stuff, and the fishing in Nier Automata is fucking terrible, and that's why it's great. Okay, because like there's no fishing pole. There is a lure, but the lure is basically what the tiny follower thing you have that acts as a machine gun. That's the lure. That's what you send into the water.
What?
No, seriously. You point to the water and your machine gun pod thing jumps into the water. It's really fucking dumb too, because it has the same sound as most generic fishing things. Like when you throw him. It's double stupid because he doesn't even react when he moves to the water or when he lands in the water. It's like a very advanced AI controlled machine gun, and you're just chucking him into the water to catch fish.
You throw your robotic kill drone into the water so you can catch a Hylian loach.
Pretty much. I mean, like, in that game, I don't think you have to fish. Because, like, so far, all I've been getting from fish is like, oh, this is a thing you caught. You can sell it, I guess.
Now, when you throw it in the water, do you have to do any work, or it just does all the work for you?
No, you point at the water, and he goes in the water. And then, like, if a fish manages to, like, pull him under, you press the button, and then you start pulling him out, and that's it. It's like the most basic of basic fishing in games.
Oh. See,
and
go ahead.
Because it's like that. That's why I find it really funny. Because like, this game is made by fucking Square-Enix and Platinum Games, the guys who have the most stylish or most fantastic looking games, and the fishing is like basic trash. Actually, it's even worse because you're throwing the goddamn robot into the water. Like, it's fucking... it's great. It's great. I love it. I don't know why I love stupid things, but I do.
That kind of reminds me of the Fable 1 fishing minigame, where it's sort of like that. Like, you throw in your thing, and then you kind of wait, and then once you get it, you have to, like, keep pressing A, but the fish can break your line. If you like press A too fast, like you have to press it, it goes like by a bar, so you have to get the bar depleted, which means the fish is closer to you, and if you just mash A, it breaks the line. So you're trying to catch something, right? And you're going back and forth. You're like, A, stop! No, I'm gonna break the line. Okay, wait, and then but it's just completely like random how much the fish is gonna start tugging and to break your line. It's actually kind of annoying, especially when you had to get like plot items or like these special keys. So something where it's like simple, where it's just like you press A and then it just kind of works. It's almost kind of nice because it's like it still feels fun because you get something, but you don't have to like work annoyingly for it. I think that's like where a mechanic can really make it fun, or the lack of mechanics can make it fun, where some can just make it like ugh.
I forgot that there were like key items in fishing spots in that game. Jeez.
Ugh.
I remember, like, wasn't there like a max potion up in one of those fishing spots or something?
Oh yeah, like a max will or something, or
yeah, something to raise your maximum whatever. I hate that because like it makes collecting things harder.
My problem with fishing in video games is that it sucks. I've yet to find a single fishing in any game ever where I didn't want to blow my goddamn brains out playing it. Like, it's just the worst. Like, luckily, I've never come across a game that I've played. I didn't play the first Fable, so I haven't played one where fishing was, like, required. But I don't know what it is, but I just can't do fishing in video games. Any video game, any style of fishing, it's all just really boring to me. Like, Minecraft fishing is boring, and that's just waiting for the thing to go down, and, you know, you press whatever key and you pull the fish out, kind of like how you were saying, Robyn. I've done the bar thing, like Mono described. I've done, like, fucking... I don't even remember how 15's fishing was, and I played that, like, a month ago. I don't know. I've never seen a fishing thing in a video game that I thought was even really worthy of time.
Well, that's because you are probably the only person in this room or will ever listen to this podcast who actually has gone fishing multiple times.
Yeah, and I wanted to blow my brains out doing it in real life, too. Why would I want to do it in a video game where I'm trying to escape my real life?
Oh, God. I think the game with the best fishing is the Yakuza series. Because it's basically Sega bass fishing.
You know what? I'm putting out Breath of the Wild for best fishing. Just fucking jump in the water and pick it up like any other item.
But that's so unrealistic.
Yeah, it's super unrealistic, but I don't even... I mean, the fish... You gotta kind of... You have... When you're swimming, you can just swim, or you can press X and you'll, like, dash forward really fast. You kind of have to dash and grab them, otherwise they swim away from you. But, I mean, other than that, yeah, you just pick them up like any other item. Man,
I did not know that going fishing was such a trying experience for you. I thought that the fishing just didn't have the same feel as real fishing, or it wasn't realistic enough. It's like, no, fishing sucks. All fishing sucks.
All fishing... Like... Fishing in real life is kind of a mixed bag for me. It's kind of relaxing, you know, and plus you can just kind of shoot, you know, just talk or whatever with whoever you're with, and that's all well and good. I wouldn't be able to, like, go out and fish for, like, an entire day, but fishing for a few hours is fine. But in video games, you don't really have those elements that let me enjoy fishing. There's no one else around. There's nothing there. You're just staring at your screen, fucking waiting, hitting to hit A or whatever button you need to hit, just watching that lure slowly bob up and down in the water, and then you press A, and good job, you got this fucking fish, which you don't even need. I might actually like it more if it's required, because then at least I feel like it's worth my time to do it. But, like... I don't know. I just never did it. In Twilight Princess, I'm pretty sure they force you to do it in like a tutorial or something at the very beginning of the game. Then I never did it again in the history of the entire game. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like heart pieces and stuff I missed from not doing it, but I don't care.
Yeah, well, here's the thing about Nier's fishing. I don't think you need it for anything at all, because all the fish do is give money. I mean, you can sell it to vendors for money.
You can't even like eat them for health or...
Well, okay, because here's the thing about the fishing in Nier. Some of the fish you catch are things like machine carp, which are basically robot fish.
That some guy just built because he's like, I want to build a robot fish!
Well, made by the machines, I guess, because they're all robots. And I don't think you can eat them anyway, because your character's an android, so yeah. You're basically selling them for parts.
Okay, riddle me this, though. If you have... a race of robots who build other robots, what function does a robotic fish serve?
It probably plays a role in the ecosystem.
You know what? I haven't solved that mystery in the game yet. I'll get back to you someday.
Well, you see, the fish are eaten by the bigger fish robots. And those bigger fish robots are eaten by, you know, shark robots, which, you know, are eaten by whale robots. And nobody eats the whale robots because it's a whale. That's like a synonym for goddamn humongous. Like,
oh god. Well, that's another weird thing, because like there are robot fish, but there's also like real fish, but like they sell for pretty much the same. So
weird.
Gee. It's a mystery. I'll get back to you on that about Nier Automata when it's not so spoilery to talk about it anymore.
When it's been long enough that you can just spoil the plot and no one cares anymore.
Yeah. I don't know, man, because the previous Nier and all the Drakengard games are like have like a billion years of lore, and I cannot penetrate that with anything.
I tried playing the first Nier, and I just couldn't do it. Like, it takes like the first half of the entire game to even start, basically.
Yeah, the first half of the game's terrible.
This coming
it's
from
good, but like it's not what you want, right?
This coming from the guy who played through all of FF13, even the first 20 hours before it gets good.
See, my thing about that though is that at least the combat I thought was cool, and the story was at least engaging enough that it gave you something to go off of. There was a clear objective. You were working towards something, but in Nier, it's kind of like. I don't know, like, maybe go to this place, and then you go, and they're like, hey, yeah, sorry, we can't help you, so get the fuck out. And then you're like, okay, how about over here, and you meander your way over there, and they're like, yeah, no, sorry. And you're like, well, shit. And then you're like, all right, third time's the charm. Nope, third time's not the charm. All right.
Yeah, that's the entire first half of Nier. At least, like, I just watched the video for the important parts, so I understand some context. I mean, you don't need to understand it for Nier Automata, but it's like a fun thing.
Hey Mono, we've talked about fishing. What would you like to see more of in RPGs?
Less fishing.
This is a good question.
Yes, more of less fishing.
More of a lack of fishing.
You know, I mean, it really depends on what types of games you're playing. But if we're gonna stick to like RPGs, you know, I'm kind of getting a little tired of branching. I'm a little tired of multiple endings. Because, well, if you have a game, well, on one side it's really hard to like make, especially if you're by yourself. Well, maybe not hard to make, but it's just a tedious process. But it's like, for me, it's really hard for me to, unless it's a very special game, to go through and play again and again. Because a lot of, like, Knights of the Old Republic is one of my favorite games. But fuck, man, if I have to go through Terrace one more time, 3 fucking hours, okay, maybe it's not 3 hours, but like at least 2 hours, where you just have to, even if you blast through all of it. And of course you want to collect all the stuff, and so you can get powered up and all the money and stuff, but it's like, I don't want to have to play through all these segments of the games to finally get to where you can branch off, and then you can finally figure out what's in the rest of the game. It's just kind of, it's just too much. It's like, especially if a game is really long, and by really long, I mean at least 15 hours.
What I would do, and what I think most people do, and say, like, you know, Fallout 3, there's a point where it asks if you want to redo anything, and then you can fiddle with your character and then go out into the world. Most people have a save right there at the decision point so that they can go back through and do it again. I think with RPGs, though, it's a lot harder to do because there's the leveling up and the gameplay and all the other stuff you have to do over again, whereas with visual novels, you can fast forward through all that.
Yeah.
Right, like in Knights of the Old Republic, like, you have to pick your starting character, like your starting class first. And that really determines everything for you. Like all of your equipment and your abilities and feats, and like, and then once you get to choose your Jedi class, spoiler, then that completely changes everything too. So you have like 2 separate classes that are very different, but can complement each other.
So what you're saying is, for KOTOR, depending on which route you want to take, you want to have a certain class. So to see the endings, the different endings that you want, you have to play the game all the way from start to finish all over again.
Sort of. If you want to play the game the way you want to play it, yes. But to get like certain story items, it's not really dependent on your class, but it's more dependent on like the choices you make. But if you want to play those certain story parts a different way, then yeah, you're kind of screwed. Unless you're like, I just want to be all-out attack, dual-wielding, then you could do that, and you could play the story multiple times. I guess you could just save it and then just go at the different decision points. But if you're playing a game for the first time, you may not always know, like, that at this point the story is going to branch off. Like, you don't know when they're going to throw a wrench in your bicycle, and you're like, holy shit, you know. and then by that time, it's like too late to save, and you can't, you know, do anything.
Yeah.
But I guess that's why we have auto-saving now. And we have auto-saving that saves your auto-save, so you can't fucking go back.
You can never go back.
Kate, we have to go back.
Man, I know that feel. Like, what was the name of that game? Infamous, I think? It was a PS3 game, I think.
Oh, you had, like, the powers? You had, like, the...
Yeah, you had the lightning power, the first game. Anyway, it's... I know what you feel, because, like, there's the good path and there's the evil path, and like you only really get the good path if you played all the way good, and you get the evil path if you played all the way evil as much as you can, like an asshole. And like in the middle of a game, it's super hard to like change between those, because like if you're on the good side, all the good side powers complement the good side powers because they're all on the same thing. And if you're on the evil side, all the evil shit complements themselves.
I appreciate Infamous for being the only game I've played with a morality system that's pure good, be good or be evil, that gives you an incentive to be evil besides just feeling like being a dick. In that, if you're evil, your abilities and your powers are like way stronger than if you're good.
Are they?
Yeah, the powers are stronger. Your default attacks are actually just stronger if you're evil. I don't think they ever explicitly tell you that in the game, but they are, which is actually stupid, but you know what, I digress. So, as opposed to something like Mass Effect, you don't do a Renegade playthrough of Mass Effect unless you just feel like being an asshole. Like, there's no benefit to it otherwise.
Like in games like that, you're kind of forced to go on one route or the other. You can't pick and choose, because like picking and choosing means like you're like everything sucks in between.
Yeah, morality systems, because I watch Zero Punctuation, and Yahtzee covers this almost every time there's a video game with a morality system, which means he covered it for he covered it once a week for the years of 2011 and 2012 when it was becoming a huge thing. And he's right. Either you are the patron saint of all that is good, or you are a guy who, like, drowns kittens for fun. And then the neutral ending is somewhere in between. And either they cut it off at 99% and 99%, or they decide, oh, well, you've done just enough bad stuff that you are now, you know, kitten drowner, you bastard. Because, like, I'm sick of this. I'm frankly quite sick of this, because I think it takes away from the player if done wrong, and it's almost always done wrong, you know, because I want to play my way, and I want my actions to have the impacts that I think they do. So if I ever make a game and people ask me about moral choice, I'll be like, yes, my game is based all around decisions. If you make good decisions, you'll beat the game. If you make bad decisions, you'll lose.
But then how do you decide what's a good decision and what's a bad decision?
Well, if you...
Did you die from your decision? No, then it's good.
Natural selection, the game.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, because, like, I like how the original Fallout did it, where there's a certain part where there's this town, and there's, like, a good sheriff, but then, like, this evil corporate guy. And basically, the corporate guy tries to kill the sheriff. Now, the corporate guy wants to kill the sheriff because the sheriff is being a little too hard on the law, but he's doing it to enforce order. So, you can either kill the corporate guy and keep the town, you know, relatively in peace, or you can kill the sheriff, the corporate guy gets his way, and there's now more items for sale. Like, the town's economy starts to prosper because of the lax regulation. Lax regulation being a dead sheriff. So it never tells you which answer is right, but there are clear consequences for you as a player either way.
That's one thing I like about Fallout. Now, Fallout, I think, actually really did it right for two reasons. And one of them you stated is that some of your choices actually really affect the towns and the way that people see you, especially like in Fallout 3 and 4. But even in the early ones, like you knew what happened when you made certain decisions. But also, at the very end, when it played the string of clips about what happens based on your decisions, when I first saw that, I was like blown away, because I was like, what the hell? You know, that guy that I killed a long time ago who was like the leader of this thing, or all these like in Fallout New Vegas, like if you do certain things in the wasteland, it affects everyone else. Like, it affects like a whole certain section, like Good Neighbor, whether you know, save it or you let the powder gangers take over it. Like, it tells you what happens to that town and the rest of the wasteland on certain things. Or if you never did anything, it's like, well, all these savages just came and took over, and you know, that was that. That was really powerful to me.
Yeah,
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, the morality systems that do it right, I believe, they focus on the results and not the player's intent. Because when you give a player two choices, okay, you have thousands of players. Now, each player has their own reasons. There are thousands of reasons why they could have made the decision they made. And you can't put in a cutscene what the character's intent was because you don't know what the player was trying to do. But you can focus on the results and the consequences of that decision.
Right. I think the challenge is also, like, with some games, you don't know how one decision what outcome that will create. Like, sometimes you think, oh yeah, I'm just going to help this guy. And then by helping this guy, like, I remember in Knights of the Old Republic 2, Kreia was like, this poor guy came up to you. You had just landed on this planet. He's like, help, give me some money, I'm poor. And you're like, sure. Oh no, I think she talks to you beforehand or after that thing. And it was like, if you gave him money, that would make him a target for other poor people, and they would just beat him up and take his stuff. And so actually he's just worse off for you helping him. It's like, well, how the hell am I supposed to know that? Like, it's something you can think of if you, like, sit down and think, well, I don't know. Hey man, are there hobos around that are going to take your stuff? Or, like, are you going to just buy drugs? Or, like, what? Like, it really makes you think. But at some points it's like, do I have to really analyze every situation where, like, you know? God. So sometimes some games that don't communicate to you, like, the definite results, that's also where they kind of get it wrong.
Yeah, that happened to me with Shadowrun Returns, where there are literally so many choices that you can't save scum them all. And the worst part is, like, you get all these dialogue options. Now, sometimes the dialogue options are all the same, but they're worded differently, and sometimes it doesn't matter what you say, but there are other times where, you know, you have 3 answers, and all 3 dialogue options are the exact same, except one's really, really nice, one's really, really, I don't care who you are, I just want to get through this, and one's really, really friggin' mean. So, the game will do shit like, you pick the mean option. Well, you go to the next town. That person's brother is in that town. He heard how much of an asshole you are. He's gonna charge you more for his help. And there's just layers and layers of this stuff where it's impossible to save scum. And I don't know if it's making me more immersed because I am not in charge, that's just the Shadowrunner's life, or if I'm more frustrated because I can't play it perfectly. Yeah.
I kind of like that. I kind of like where you have to make these hard choices. Now for me, that actually makes a game that could be replayable. If you make hard choices where you're not like, meh, I guess that's okay. Like the choice that really got me, like I seriously sat for like 10 minutes and I'm like, fuck, what do I do? In Mass Effect 1, when you have to choose between Kaiden or Ashley, because at that point I was really thinking like, okay, I think I'm going to try a romance with Ashley this time around, right? And of course you're like, well, I want to save my romance because that's my self-interest, right? But I also really like Kaiden. He's like my bro. We've been through this shit since the beginning. And it's like, it's not just, and at that point you're thinking like, oh, I'm just going to choose this person to go, right? Because there's really 2 big choices you make. You make the person who's going to stay with you and the person who's going to go fight and be on the front lines. And so that's your first choice. And fairly like, oh yeah, they're just going to fight. They're awesome. They're part of my party, so they're not going to die. Then you're going through, and then it's like, uh-oh, shit's starting to go down. The big bad comes, and he's really messing everything up. And you're like, okay. Then you got to choose to complete your objective, and then, which means leaving your party member behind to their death. Or you go save your party member, but then your objective is compromised, and then basically everything is for naught. But then you go, and ultimately you let them die. That person that you chose. Like, the game kind of forces you to have to be in that position.
Rip.
And that's like one of those choices where you're like, fuck, what do I do? I don't want to have, like, basically you sent them to their death and you don't want them to die, but you can't save them. And you don't know that at the time, but those are the kind of choices I like, but they're so aggravating at the time when you're playing, and it really kind of sticks with you.
My problem with that choice is that I fucking hated Kaiden, so it wasn't even really a choice for me. Like, I think it's a good idea for like choices and stuff like that, but then you have to rely on people liking the characters. Otherwise, it's not really a choice. Like, I didn't like Ashley very much either, but I definitely liked her way more than Kaiden, so it wasn't even really a thought for me. But I could see why some people would definitely struggle with choices like that.
But it's also like maybe not midway through the game, but it's a good way through the game, that choice, and it affects like how some of your dialogue plays out. Like not to a major degree. They basically say the same thing, but it's just kind of like it's like when you connect with those characters. And you're right, if you don't connect with those characters, then it's like, well, I don't give a fuck. It's just, oh well, it's nice knowing you. I'll remember you.
My thing about dialogue choices in games is that I fucking hate that when you have your little dialogue wheel or the box with all your options or whatever, that what you're looking at and selecting isn't the same thing that your character says. Like, it drives me nuts. It fucking, like, I just hate it. I hate it more than anything. And some of them, like, usually it's not too bad. You kind of get the idea of what they're going to say. But some of them are, like, really misleading. Like, there's, God, what game was that? That might have been Knights of the Old Republic. But I saw, like, this parody or something where basically this guy was playing through the game and he meets this guy who's, like, on the run from some, I don't know if they're, like, authorities or a gang or whatever. He's on the run. And he's trying to get home to his son, I think. And you're talking to him, and it's like the dialogue wheel or whatever. And he's like, okay, well, one of the options is you're going to have to run, or you're going to have to be fast, or something like that. And so the guy who made the parody selects, you're going to have to be fast. And so his character is like, you're going to have to be fast if you want to outrun my blaster, and fucking guns him down himself.
Oh, God.
And, like, some of them, I'm not saying about that game because I haven't played it, but when it comes to, like, Mass Effect or The Witcher or other stuff like that, some of them really are, like, that bad, that they do not convey at all what you're going to say or do, and it just drives me nuts.
Jeez.
Fallout 4, 120%.
Oh, my God. That's why I couldn't play through that game more than once.
Like, fuck, man. I know a couple of guys who had this problem with, like, Telltale games, like the older ones. Okay, imagine this: your guy and another guy who he's supposed to, like, just kind of talk to are at the bar, right? And then, like, one of the options was, like, talk to the guy, like, ask him questions, or glass him. And
I knew exactly what you were talking about as soon as you brought this up.
the guy thought glass him meant, like, give him a drink. Nope, glass him means you're gonna hit him with a glass. He apparently misunderstood. Fuck.
I had a friend who did the exact same thing. You're sitting at a bar with this guy who you're trying to get information from, and you can either, like, talk to him, like, what is it? It's like talk to him, you can just sit there, or glass him. And yeah, glass him, you pick up your shot glass and just smash it in his face and, like, start a fight, basically.
Yep. Ah, jeez.
Fantastic.
Those kinds of choices, they're like death traps, man.
And we should probably have a cast about that at some point, just like morality systems, but not today because we're almost at 2 hours.
Man, Cody, if we had a cast like that, it's gonna be like we should have a cast like this. But thou must. But thou must. But thou must.
I found the origin of that too. Like, did you know that's word for word something from a Dragon Quest game?
You didn't know that was from Dragon Quest 1?
I did not.
It was like the very first Dragon Quest.
See, I thought it was just like a funny thing, but no, that's the dialogue word for word.
Yes, it's literally from Dragon Quest 1.
That's crazy. All right, anything you guys want to say before we wrap this up?
Mono mentioned, like, having multiple endings kind of sucks for some games, and, like, yeah, I have first-hand experience on why that kind of sucks, because, like, okay, there's this game I liked, right? And basically you play through the game normally, and at the end of every chapter there's this, you know, boss you're supposed to beat, and you're supposed to lose to him every time except for the very end, right? Like, yeah, you're supposed to lose to this one boss every time until the end. And, like, by the end, yeah, you win, you beat the game, and that's the story, right? That's the ending. There are multiple endings for when you play it on New Game Plus, and you beat the guy much earlier on, right?
Is this Chrono Trigger?
No. This is, what the fuck was it called? ZHP... it was a PSP game. It was like Zetai Hero Project. Unlosing Ranger versus Dark Death Hero Evil Man. Like, yeah, that's the title. And like, if you get to the very end with the canonical ending, yeah, that's pretty good. That's great. That's great. Clap and a half to you. But like, if you beat the game, you start over, and in the prologue, you can beat the guy, right? You can beat the guy in one punch or whatever, because you already went through everything else. So you beat him in the prologue, no problem. And then there's the ending where you lose to him there, and then beat him on chapter 1. And then there's the ending where you lose those and then beat him in chapter 2, and it goes on until the final where instead of winning you run away or something like that. It's like a lot of shenanigans to get all the endings, and like I get sick of that, I mean, no matter how good the game is, if you have to play through the bullshit parts that many times, it's like right.
Well, in that case, funny enough, I think the game that would solve all of your problems with that is actually Final Fantasy 13-2. The way that the multiple endings work, so when you play through the game, you just play through it like normal, and after you beat it, so 13-2 is just time travel shenanigans, right? Time and space adventures, fucking Tenchi universe, and then you beat the game, and you get this thing that basically lets you fuck with the timeline. So you can jump to any point in time, and yes, you've already done that. You can do this throughout the game, too, where you just jump throughout time. But at any point, you can select one of the nodes that you can jump to and just reset it, which lets you go back and fight bosses in different ways that lets you basically fuck the whole timeline. Because the way that they do time travel is that time is a constant, and that everything that has already happened and so forth. So everything you do has already happened and you get it. So then if you do something different, the time like adjusts itself to make that possible, if that makes sense. So for example, if you like, once you get the thing, there's a boss you fight really early on. It's this huge automated like giant Atlas looking robot thing. And what you're supposed to do is you go find this control panel and you shut down most of his power and make him easier to beat. But if you go and you fight him with that endgame item, you can beat him without doing that. It's like a million times harder, but you can do it. And then you get an alternate ending where time gets all distorted and fucked, and the two main characters are just stuck in a reality where they have to fight an army of those things for all of eternity.
Whoa.
So
Well, okay. That solves the multiple endings thing, but it doesn't solve the FF13-2 sucks thing.
see, I actually like 13-2. So
Okay, here's the thing. I have nothing against FF13. Okay, maybe a little because of the hallway thing, but like 13 is fine. 13-2 is like and then Return of Lightning is like
yeah, Lightning Returns was like not good, but 13-2 I thought was actually pretty good.
Cause it's like, okay, we get it. You like lightning. Can we have a new game without lightning, please?
Well, yeah, it's not even about Lightning. She's barely in the game, and it's her fucking sister, for God's sake. So, of course, she's like, I need to go find my sister, because apparently I'm now in a world where nobody remembers her being alive except for me, so that's kind of weird. I should probably go find her.
The whole thing about Lightning, though, is that it was no secret that Lightning was the CEO's waifu, so they had to put her in every game. That was the end all and be all. Like, Square-Enix really shat the bed when they became Square-Enix, because the CEO put his waifu Lightning into the games, number one. Number two, they moved their headquarters because the CEO's fortune teller said to. That guy was all sorts of messed up.
Maybe that explains why 15 sucks.
There was a 15? I don't remember which one's 15.
The newest one, Final Fantasy 15?
Oh, Boy Band Simulator, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Boy Band Road Trip Simulator.
All right, Justin, or Deldris, sorry,
Did anyone collect those frogs yet? Like, seriously, I don't think anyone has.
Holy fuck! The frogs.
Now, no one has collected the frog. So you had first-hand experience.
Yes.
Okay, tell us, what the fuck is the deal with the frogs? All we know is that it's a meme.
Okay, so the frogs. You get this quest. That's, it's an RPG. You get side quests. And this woman's like, hey, I'm making this stew. Or no, she's a researcher. And she's like, I'm researching these frogs. Will you go get me some frogs? And so you're like, okay, sure, that sounds like no problem. And you go to the area that it designates you to, and it's a big area. Like, it's a fairly large area. And you need to find these frogs. Well, the frogs are about the size of your thumb. Like, they are really, really small in a huge area where there's grass and water and rocks and like a whole environmental thing, and you need to search for these fucking frogs. And it took me like 40 minutes to find these goddamn frogs. And you know what? There's 2 more quests after that progressively get more annoying. So that's just the tip of the iceberg. So that's the deal with the frogs, is that it's fucking bullshit.
Only 40 minutes? Wow, are you a speedrunner?
It took me 40 minutes, and then I looked up a guide.
Like, geez. So it's true what they say, where it's like, it's basically a superpower to find the last frog.
Yeah, like, it's ridiculous. They're not even a color that stands out. It's a color that you would think would stand out. They're red the first time you look for them, so you think, okay, well, they'll stand out against the grass and the dirt and rocks or whatever, but they don't. They're like the same kind of weirdly diluted color that everything is in that fucking game, and they blend in. And the whole time the weather is changing, and if it gets like dark, and then once it gets dark, enemies start spawning, and they're like really hard enemies for that point in the game, where you basically have to run. So you have to look around in the day, and if it starts getting dark, you have to leave and go to a town where you can sleep, and then you have to go back and look for the frogs again until it gets dark, and then you have to leave, and you have to keep fucking doing that until you find the fucking frogs. So that's 40 minutes of looking for the frogs, not even counting the time I had to spend leaving, going to a town, coming back, because it's not on a road, so you can't drive there. You could rent chocobos to get there faster, but it's still like a good couple minute walk back and forth to get there and back. So it's really just awful. Everything about it's awful. Don't ever do it.
Man, for a second I thought you were Red Mage. Jeez. I'm cracking up super hard.
This side quest is pointless. It makes you feel like everything you've done didn't mean anything, and it's stupid and pointless.
Goddamn. Alright, so you've played FF15. Tell me about the car, because when I was at Adam's house and I was playing, I almost made it to, because like, you leave the car for repair, and you're supposed to go, like, south or west or whatever to go to the next place. Can you get there without the car? Because I walked for about an hour, and I made it to some mine, and I had fun exploring the mine, and then I fast-traveled back to where the car was.
You could theoretically walk across the entire map.
Yeah, but what happens if you do?
Then congratulations on wasting, 12 days of your life. That's it. There's no benefit to it. I mean, obviously there's a lot of areas that are off the road and you need to either walk or take a chocobo, but there's really no reason to not drive as close to your destination as possible.
So what happens if you beat the game without the car being repaired ever?
As far as I'm aware, nothing. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, you cannot progress past a certain point until your car is repaired.
Damn.
So you at least have to get it repaired. But once it's repaired and you get past that kind of plot block, then you could just not ever use the car.
Okay.
What kind of block is that? You go up to the king, is like, hey son, did you fix the car? Sure did, Dad.
There's
where the fuck is it?
There's like a checkpoint to the rest of the map that's being blocked by the military until you do some plot stuff. And part of that is getting past the point where your car is repaired.
Uh-huh.
So your car being repaired is one of the magic switches that has to be flipped for the military to leave.
Well, yes, you end up dealing with the military guys there, not by repairing your car, but you do have to get to that point through the main story, and part of that along the way is just repairing your car. So
No, you don't understand what I'm saying. As the car was being repaired, I wandered an hour across the desert and almost made it to where I was supposed to go anyway. Like, what happens if I kept walking and never got the car repaired?
you would not be able to progress because you wouldn't be able to get to the remaining 2/3 of the map where the rest of the story takes place.
But I almost made it. Like, assuming I kept walking, I would have been there.
Which direction were you walking?
It was either south or west. I think I was going south.
Okay, to the west, there's like a wall. They built a wall to keep out the people that are at war in that other kingdom. And then, basically, there's like a big-ass wall there. I don't know if it's like, I forget if it's like a natural wall, like if it's all cliffs or something that you can't climb up. But the point is that once you go west far enough, you reach a point where you cannot go any further west.
Okay, then I was definitely going south. And I think that was the point at the beginning of the games. I had to go south, and they were bitching about the car. But I just walked south anyway, and I mean, I don't see why I couldn't have just kept going through the game without a car if it allowed me to walk all that way.
Because the plot fucking says so.
The plot desires you to repair your car.
You know how
But thou must!
You know how fucking mad I would be if I spent 2 hours walking through the goddamn desert and they're like, well, this is great and all, but you don't have a car, so, you should go and fast travel back, grab your car, and then come back here. I'd be so pissed.
That is what would happen. Actually, they wouldn't say that. They would just shoot you in the face. And then you would be like, well, can't go this way.
That's awesome.
Man, can you imagine, like, checkpoint guards being like, are you just walking here? Where's your car? Why do I need a car? You need one to get through this gate. No, we don't. But thou must.
But thou must.
But thou must.
But thou must have a sick ride.
It's kind of like walking to a drive-thru, and you're like, yeah, can I get like number one and like a Coke or something? It's like, where's your car? Why are you walking through here? Well, no, I just want like a hamburger and like a no. You don't have a car. No, I know, but I have money, so I can. No.
Why don't you just go inside and order, you fucking sicko?
It's not as convenient and inconvenient to the other people.
Yeah, you just walk. You're already outside. You don't have to go see the people or waste time. It's just you don't have to sit down. Maybe you're in a rush. You just gotta go.
Well,
if you
what
sit
if
down, you get too tired to get back up?
What if they have to make some more fries and they're gonna have you park in front anyhow? And then you're just sitting in like cross-legged on the ground in this parking space like an idiot waiting for your food.
They'd probably tell you that just to get you out of the way and never bring you anything. And just have you sit there like, it's been like 40 minutes. There's no way fries can take this long. Then you walk in like, hey, where's my fries? Who are you? Would you like something? Oh my god. Yeah, I'd like a number one. Are your fries done yet? You asshole. I'm waiting out there in the parking lot. In your car? No, I was sitting down. You could have just sat in here, dude. Maybe you could have ordered.
And what's funny is they took your money the first time and never gave you the food.
Oh, man.
And that's what playing Final Fantasy 15 is like.
We didn't empty this grab bag at all.
Yeah, we got like 3 questions down. But that's okay. We had a good thing.
I wish I had pencils to sharpen. I think it'd be a nice way to wrap it up.
Yeah.
There's one thing I want to say.
Oh.
Back your shit up.
God damn it! I keep forgetting that that's a thing. Never mind.
Alright, thank you all for listening to the RPG Maker General Podcast with the rpgmg. This is Cody. We'll see you all next time.
What's the turn order?
You!
Alright, this is Blue Sky Robyn saying goodbye, and please make that Mario and Luigi game, whatever, versus princesses.
This is Mono. I didn't mean to break your heart. I'm sorry.
This is Deldris. Good night and dank memes.